NVIDIA earnings just laid the groundwork of who is going to be the next big AI winner. And ironically enough, that appears to be not NVIDIA. NVIDIA's stock has barely moved after having arguably one of the best quarters that any corporation has ever had. They're actually down a few percent following the earnings. The takeaway here is, though, what companies did NVIDIA just set up to have their stocks explode? So, coming out of NVIDIA earnings, the right questions are, who are the companies powering everything? What are the companies that are actually building out the infrastructure needed for these data centers? What are the companies that actually make the chips? And then finally, what are the companies that stand to benefit most when they integrate AI into their software? Because NVIDIA isn't just one company, it is the center of the AI ecosystem and helps set up the scorecard for all of the stocks I'm about to talk about. So, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the companies that I'm personally watching that I think are really important AI choke points, as well as some other long term winners that have already proven and been amazing stocks if you've been in them. On a side note, also be sure to check out alextalkstocks.com and sign up for our new free newsletter where we're going to be covering all things AI, important topics, anything that you want to learn about from a stock and investing perspective. It's going to be some extra things there available for free. So be sure to go to the website linked in the description below and sign up for that. Now, let's get right to it. At this point, we know NVIDIA is the center of the AI economy, and every major company is relying on NVIDIA. Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, they're all relying on NVIDIA. And when NVIDIA reports, it sets the stage of what's happening within the AI universe. So when NVIDIA reports earnings, we can quickly learn if AI is accelerating, who is accelerating and spending more within AI. And then we can start breaking down who are the second order winners that are going to come from all of this increased spending. And that's where we're going to start off today. So instead of thinking about, should I buy NVIDIA after earnings, think about, who should I be buying because of NVIDIA earnings? And the first sector that I really want to talk about that I believe is going to be huge moving forward is power. AI needs a ton of electricity in order to run all of these data centers. And you've probably heard about it on the news of several states starting to ban data centers because of electrical grid concerns with prices rising. Well, what that means is there's insane demand for these, and the companies that are at the center of this are going to be benefiting with increased demand like they've never seen before. And when you think about utilities, it's not very fun to think about these. These are more of the boring companies, but AI has now unlocked the capabilities that can come from owning a simple utility company. So here's three names that I would keep in mind: Constellation Energy, Vistra, and Eaton. And Constellation Energy is the largest nuclear provider. And as we start to scale and think about how do we get sustainable energy at this level, nuclear is going to be really key to that. And all of these companies aren't exactly doing the same thing. For example, Eaton really has a bunch of the components that are necessary to create a power plant in general. Eaton helps support electrical systems and power the actual infrastructure behind the scenes. So as utilities need to continue to scale, you're going to need the components that Eaton produces that will then scale right along with it. And we know that this is going to be one of the biggest choke points within all of AI. How do we get enough power to do everything? Vistra is another company that also is integrated within power generation. So these are the three favorite companies I have that I'm currently watching because AI cannot scale if we don't have the electricity to power it. The next choke point that I want to talk about is a really easily overlooked area because it just makes almost too much sense. And this is the company that creates the machine that actually makes the chip. Because NVIDIA can't have chips if there's no machines that are actually producing those. And there are three key companies that are on my watch list of the ones that I'm paying attention to most: ASML, Lam Research, and Applied Materials. ASML is the company that produces the very advanced lithography machines, which allow the really tiny impressions to be put into chips that kind of make all of that work. TSM is one of their biggest customers, and they need those machines to make the chips. Lam Research helps out with making machines that help carve in all of the layers into the silicone. And then Applied Materials makes the material systems that allow for inspection and manufacturing of the chips themselves. All three of these companies are so important to chips, and they have their own purposes within the supply chain. This really highlights the hold that they have, and these companies will succeed if AI continues to succeed. But chips alone are not enough to power AI. AI also needs memory and networking. And this helped validate all of these memory stocks and why they've ran so hard after NVIDIA earnings, because it is full systems go that we are in a memory and networking shortage. AI requires a massive amount of memory because of the amount of data that is being transferred. And if I'm transferring data, I also need to have really fast networking. So the three companies on my watch list now in this area are Micron, Broadcom, and Arista Networks. Micron makes the really fast memory that's necessary to keep up with the speeds of how fast the GPU cards have gotten for AI. Broadcom, they also make chips, but they also make components that are used within networking and data transfer. And then finally, Arista Networks helps power networks that are key to all of this data transfer that is going on here. So when NVIDIA is reporting these earnings, it's not really NVIDIA versus everybody else. It's really, how is NVIDIA's success enabling these second order winners from there? And this is where it's easy to see that as the amount of money that gets spent in this infrastructure build out continues to rise and rise, these infrastructure companies' estimates are likely low, which means that the stock will continue to go up over time. And by the way, if you've made it this far in the video, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future videos like this. And also throw a comment below. What company do you think is most critical coming outside of NVIDIA earnings? The next choke point that I want to talk through is more of the physical structure of how these data centers need to run. I'm talking about cooling, racks, all of the stuff that goes into the data center that has to hold the chips and actually hold the memory. This is where these three companies come into play: Vertiv, Dell, and Supermicrocomputer. Now, with Vertiv, they are responsible for all of the cooling systems that come with these data center buildouts. You can imagine the amount of heat that comes off of these things, and heat destroys technology, and the cooling becomes extremely important. So as the data center scales, so will Vertiv. Now, for Dell and Supermicrocomputer, they are focused on actually building out the racks and partnering with an NVIDIA to make it so when that card is in the data center, the rack helps secure it and keep it in place. So you can see, as more people buy more NVIDIA cards, they need somewhere to put them, which means that I need more racks in larger spaces within the data center. And then this also means I need more cooling to make sure that the cards are maintained for the long term. So again, NVIDIA is just giving us the blueprint of where we should be putting our money next. Now, the final section that I want to talk through of what is the next bottleneck that could happen is probably also the most speculative one of everything I've walked through so far. And the answer here is software. So now that we have AI set up and AI being adopted, who is going to use AI to improve their software business? And this will be massive moving forward. The problem is, who is going to be the winner? Now, this is where there could be a bunch of names on the list. You could throw out Microsoft or Palantir having massive opportunity within AI, but I so far have not been super impressed either with the way that stock has been trending, like at Microsoft, and their ability to really put AI to use, or on the other side with Palantir, where their valuation for me has really gotten out of control. So there is one name that I want to bring up, though, of the name that I'm watching, and that is ServiceNow. ServiceNow focuses on workflow automation to help improve large enterprises. And what's interesting here is the angle of they're really trying to improve worker efficiency and trying to automate tasks that can be done by agents or just AI in general. So I like the idea of this one because it means that AI is not going to take over their business. It's actually going to help support their business to be even more profitable because they're bringing a better solution to large enterprises. Software stocks have had a really rough go because people believe that AI are going to replace a lot of these companies, which is probably true in most ways. But I think ServiceNow helps stand out that it's more of an assisting to their core business rather than taking it over. And I've talked about all the infrastructure we need, and software is that final layer that we just don't have a really good grasp on who the winner is going to be yet. But for now, ServiceNow is probably the best one that I've seen that can fit within that software layer. All of these companies I've listed help directly support and benefit from NVIDIA outperforming. And one of the biggest lessons learned here is NVIDIA is kind of the modern day Apple, where the iPhone is changing everything. And the companies that help build and surround the iPhone ultimately ended up becoming hugely successful in themselves. So this is a really important lesson that you can take whenever we see new technology come moving forward is how do I surround the success of the main company with the companies that support and benefit from them winning so much? So let me know in the comments below. Are there any companies that you think I missed that I should be talking about? Or what was your favorite company that I talked about that you think would be a great investment moving forward? If you learned something from this, be sure to like and then also subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any critical information when it comes to AI and investing that I'm here to help with. Also, be sure to sign up for my free newsletter at alextalkstocks.com. I've got the link in the description below. I'm going to be sending out a weekly email where you're going to go through and learn all of the trending topics that I'm thinking about, as well as any stocks I think that should be on your radar moving forward. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.